You're sitting on a couch. Nothing happened. No notification buzzed, no message came through, no reason at all. And yet, somehow, your hand is already in your pocket. Your thumb is already unlocking the screen. You're already scrolling. And for a second, just a second, you stop and think, wait, why did I just do that? You didn't decide to check your phone. There was no thought that said, I should look at my phone now. It just happened, like breathing, like blinking. Your body moved before your mind caught up with it.
This happens to almost everyone, dozens of times a day, in line at the grocery store, at a red light, during a conversation when there's a pause of more than 3 seconds, even in bed at 2 in the morning. When you already know there's nothing new to see, you check anyway. And here's the strange part. Most people have never actually asked themselves why. Not why do I use my phone so much? That question gets asked all the time, usually followed by guilt, followed by a promise to use it less. No, the real question is smaller and stranger than that. Why does the checking itself happen without a decision? Why does your hand move before your brain gives permission? The answer has almost nothing to do with your phone. Let's paint the picture, because you already know it. You're at dinner with someone you love. The conversation dips for a moment. Maybe you're both chewing. Maybe you're just thinking about what to say next. And in that gap, your phone appears on the table, face up, glowing faintly. You didn't plan to look at it. You just did. A glance, half a second, then back to the conversation, like nothing happened. Or you're working on something important, deeply focused, and you finish a paragraph, a task, a small chunk of effort, and immediately, almost as a reflex, you reach for the phone. Not because you need it, because you finished something, or the version everyone recognizes most. You're bored. Not desperately bored, just slightly understimulated for 4 or 5 seconds, and your thumb is already moving before the feeling of boredom has even fully formed in your mind.
We don't question this behavior because it feels like part of being alive now, the same way checking a wristwatch used to feel normal, or glancing out a window. It blends into the background of daily existence so completely that noticing it feels almost silly. Of course I check my phone. Everyone does. What's there to explain? But that's exactly the trap. The things we do so often that they become invisible are usually the things shaping us the most.
Here's what's actually happening inside you, and it's older than smartphones by millions of years. Your brain did not evolve to sit still. It evolved to scan, constantly. In the environment your ancestors survived in, a moment of stillness wasn't peace. It was a vulnerability. A rustle in the grass might be wind. It might be a predator.
The brains that survived were the ones that couldn't stay calm in the presence of uncertainty. They had to check again and again. Was that a sound? Is something there? Look, check, confirm safety, relax for a second, check again.
That instinct never went away. It's still fully wired into you. The only thing that changed is what your brain checks for. Now, think about what a phone actually offers. It's not information. It's not even entertainment. Not really. It's a tiny, endless supply of maybe. Maybe someone texted. Maybe something happened. Maybe there's a new post, a new like, a new headline, a new fragment of the world that shifted since the last time you looked. Your brain doesn't crave the content. It craves the resolution of uncertainty. This is the same mechanism that made slot machines addictive long before smartphones existed. Not because the machine gives you money most of the time. It almost never does. But because you never quite know when it will. That unpredictability is the hook. Psychologists call this a variable reward, and it produces a stronger urge to keep checking than a reward you can always count on. If your phone buzzed with a message every single time, exactly on schedule, you'd check less. It's the not knowing that keeps your thumb moving.
So when you unlock your phone for no reason, you're not choosing entertainment. You're running an ancient scanning routine, the same one your ancestors used to check the tree line, except Now, the tree line is a glass rectangle, and the predator you're scanning for isn't a wolf. It's the unbearable feeling of not knowing what you might be missing. This instinct existed long before screens, but it stayed relatively quiet for most of human history. There simply wasn't a reason to check anything more than a few times a day. A letter might take weeks. News might take days. The rhythm of information matched the rhythm of a slower world. The shift began quietly. First, it was email, something you checked once, then twice, then constantly as workplaces expected faster replies. Then came the flip phone, and with it, text messages that could arrive anytime, day or night, turning your pocket into a place where the outside world could reach you instantly.
But the real transformation happened with something most people don't think about at all: the notification badge. That small red circle with a number inside it. It seems like nothing, just a design choice, a little dot in the corner of an icon. But that dot exploits something deep in human psychology called the need for closure, an itch in the brain that wants incomplete things to become complete. An unread number feels unfinished. Your brain doesn't like unfinished things. It wants to close the loop.
Every app you use was designed, refined, and tested by teams of people whose entire job was to make that itch as strong as possible. Infinite scrolling, disappearing stories, scene receipts, streaks that break if you don't check in. These weren't accidents. They were built on decades of research into what makes the human brain crave repetition. The people creating these systems understood the ancient scanning instinct better than most psychologists, and they built products specifically to trigger it over and over, thousands of times a day, for billions of people. You're not checking your phone because you're weak-willed. You're checking it because an enormous amount of engineering went into making sure you would. Here's the part that changes how most people see this. Most people assume the reason they check their phone constantly is boredom, or addiction to entertainment, or simply wasting time. But that's not quite it. The deeper reason is that your brain has quietly redefined what safety means.
For most of human history, safety meant knowing your immediate physical surroundings were free of danger. Today, for a huge number of people, safety has expanded to include informational surroundings. Is something happening I don't know about? Did something change? Am I missing a message that matters? Am I socially, professionally, or emotionally up to date with the world?
The phone hasn't just given you access to information. It has quietly convinced your ancient scanning instinct that the entire world is now part of your environment to monitor, not just the room you're standing in, but every conversation, every event, every possible piece of news happening anywhere at any time. Your brain, still running its ancient check for danger program, is now trying to scan a world that never stops generating something new. This is why checking your phone rarely feels satisfying. The ancient system was built for a world where checking eventually led to resolution. You looked, you saw nothing dangerous, you relaxed. But the modern information world never resolves. There is always something new the moment after you check. So the itch never fully goes away. It just gets quieter for a few seconds before returning. That's the twist. You're not failing to control a bad habit. You're running a very old survival system in an environment that was specifically engineered to never let that system finish its job. This quiet, invisible loop shapes far more of daily life than people realize. It shapes attention. Deep focus requires the brain to settle into a single task for an extended stretch of time, but the scanning instinct keeps whispering that something else might need checking. Even when the phone stays in a pocket, untouched, part of the mind stays slightly alert, slightly divided, the way a person can never fully relax if they think someone might walk in the room at any moment. It shapes relationships. That half-second glance at a phone during dinner doesn't feel like much in the moment, but it sends a quiet signal to the person across the table. Something else might matter more right now. Over months and years, thousands of these tiny glances accumulate into a subtle erosion of presence. Not dramatic, not sudden, but real.
It shapes emotions, too. Because the scanning instinct is tied to threat detection, checking constantly keeps a low simmer of alertness running in the background of daily life. Many people report a persistent, low-grade restlessness they can't quite name. Not sadness, not anxiety exactly, just an inability to feel fully at ease. Some of that restlessness comes from a nervous system that rarely gets the chance to fully stand down because there's always one more thing to check.
And it shapes decisions in ways most people never trace back to their source. Feeling behind, feeling like you should know more, react faster, respond sooner. Much of that pressure originates not from actual obligations, but from a scanning instinct that has convinced you the loop must stay closed at all times. None of this makes anyone broken or weak. It simply means an instinct built for scanning a quiet forest is now running full-time inside a world built to never go quiet.
What's strange when you sit with all of this is how normal the whole thing felt before you looked closely at it. Nobody decided to build their day around an ancient alertness system. Nobody consciously agreed to let a small red notification dot control their nervous system dozens of times a day. It simply happened quietly, one glance at a time, until it became invisible. That might be the real lesson hidden inside this ordinary habit. The things that shape our lives the most are rarely the big, dramatic decisions we make consciously. They're the small, automatic movements we never stop to examine. The ones so familiar, they stop looking like behavior at all and start looking like just who we are. The things controlling our lives are often the things we never notice. So here's a question worth sitting with for a moment after this video ends. What is one habit you do every single day without ever really thinking about why?